So welcome. I think there's only 2 more before me and cocktail hour, so I'll try to move this for you guys. But I'm president of CaduceusHealth, and we are an MSO. There's a lot of different flavors of MSO as I'm learning today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about ours. We're kind of down in the trenches, if you will. We're going to talk a little bit about where the sausage gets made and what I usually call like the Star Wars bar, where things really happen and what the engine really looks like behind, you know, some of these network organizations that are out there. And the reason for my boat here is usually when I'm talking about what we do, CaduceusHealth has really partnered with Athena Health. And when I'm going to talk to prospective clients, I usually talk about the boat. I'm a big sailor, by the way, so you're going to see a couple of boats today. I talk about the boat as the vessel being Athena, and then that crew is would be your CaduceusHealth team helping you to manage your network. So that's where that comes from. We're going to use it a couple different ways, but I thought I'd bring it along today. This is kind of a Frankenstein presentation because we kind of collaborated from about 4 different ones that we use for 4 different things. So bear with me if everything doesn't match. So we're going to talk about 4 things. Achieving faster time to value creation, how to get new providers up and running, standardizing data and technology over different systems, and then tracking quality performance down to the individual provider. 4 that key components that I've found over the 20 years of doing this, that if you're missing any one of those, you're probably going to fail in your endeavor. And so we're going to try to talk a little about what we've seen at a different level in the market over those 20 years. So just a little about CaduceusHealth. 20 years in the business. We actually grew up in the New York market. Our first office was on 34th Street, not too far from here, and really saw a need for providers to have a full wraparound service. Didn't see it really happening from the big vendors out there. So started Caduceus to really create a full wraparound MSO service. I mean, you say MSO today and everybody comes running to a thing like this, but 20 years ago, MSO, nobody knew what the hell it was. So we started that and started providing services to physicians. And where we are today, we are an early adopter of the Athena Health technology. I'm going to talk a little bit about how that differentiates us in the market and what Athena brings to the table for us and what we're able to do with it. And it really allows us to go from a 40,000-foot elevation to a grain of sand in seconds, and that's really what is important to running these networks today. We really get down into the analytics of data, and we really grind it out. So that's one of the most important aspects of what we do for our MSO clients is really analyzing data and helping them drive their business. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Just a little bit of breadth and scope. We currently touch around 3,500 providers, in Athena Health. We're in 38 states, and I think our revenues posted to Athena this year will be about $500 million. So what we do and how we do it, we feel we've really married with the best in class, and I'm kind of just talking to you about our experience being out there for 20 years and what we felt are the best systems that kind of cut through the clutter and enable us to actually get to market faster for our clients. And so obviously Athena Health, we've been through the ringer over 20 years, partnered with a lot of different software systems. Athena really brings a completely round service to what we're providing. And then we layer over Athena Tableau Analytics, which is originally created by Stanford University for the Department of Defense, and we've actually been using that in healthcare for about 15 years. So the first thing, on the number one thing, the most important thing that I have found over 20 years, achieving faster time to value creation are these components. And One is that physicians are inspired and drive a cost-effective quality product. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Patient-physician relationship. So, we kind of turn the traditional table of organization on its head, and we really give and drive a lot of the decision-making to the physicians so that you're not getting a burnout. If there's not that entrepreneurial spirit alive in that physician, I think I've heard it today where, the top-down management just kills it. And we've kind of got a model, a governance model that we use for that. And that future healthcare decisions are determined at the point of care. So we're really pushing out a lot of the drive and what's happening to getting a consensus from those physicians out in the field as to where we need to go. And then obviously engaged physicians result in higher quality scores, increased patient satisfaction, and increased staff satisfaction, which is really important. The next slide will kind of illustrate that. And when I talk about that, this top-down, you can't run this like a bunch of hospital departments is really true. What we usually get with that is morale dives and the beatings go up. And case in point, we've worked for a lot of networks where the CFO, top-down management won't even let us share RVU, payment data, charge data with any of the physicians in the network. And so then the physicians are pissed off. The people that work in their office are pissed off. And the patients are pissed off. And the whole thing just collapses into itself. And so transparency is really, one of the keys to success that we've found over 20 years and really getting this out of the equation. And it seriously was like this at a couple of clients where the CFO had that kind of old top-down mentality and is just beating on the doctors, on the practices every single day to make numbers, and it just went nowhere. We actually end up disengaging ourselves from that situation. So what we've done is we've actually taken that table of organization and we turn it around. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how this works. I'm going to use one of my boat things again, so bear with me. Sorry for that crappy drawing. But what we're trying to do here is really talk about, let's put the power back into the physicians, into the patients, and that's really where we're getting our power of the network, right? So let's listen to the physicians, let's listen to the patients, let's let that start to drive what we're doing. The next thing we're going to put in there is stability and strength. It's really going to come from our management layer. And then our governance. So this is all kind of flowing down from the top, putting the power back into the network. And then direction, exec steering committee. And then kind of came up with the boat thing around that, just trying to work it in here wherever I can, better version of it. So number two, once you've got that governance in place and you feel that things are running smoothly, how do we get these providers up and running and easy onboarding? So you're going to actually need an integrated system that reduces the number of talking points outside of your main system, right? So practice management software, EMR, interfacing, automated claims. I see a lot of places try to do this with several different companies, and you got to think of it this way. Every time there's an interaction or an interface, you're going to be losing pennies, maybe dollars. But every time we're talking to something else out there, we're losing it. There's definitely slippage and leakage. So what we try to do is get as much of that into one system as we can. And what we've really found is that athenahealth really provides that full encompassing scope to be able to run a large network physician practice effectively. Most of our smallest practice we touch is about 30 physicians. I think our largest practice right now is about 550, and all of them are on Athena. And it enables us to standardize what we do across all these platforms. So when we go in to do analytics, we're not recreating the wheel every time we go in to pull a data set. Everything's in the same spot for all of our clients. So we run one analytic profile for one of our clients. We can actually drill into all of our clients across the spectrum and start pulling in that same data. I'm going to show you a little bit of that in a minute. But what we're doing is, since we're standardizing this, and we're in one system, templating becomes very simple across the spectrum. So we have orthopedics, primary care, all this templating can actually be standardized and pushed out. We do a lot of things online within Athena, so our e-learning goes up, and it's the same drill every time across the spectrum. So we're pushing that out to all of our practices. Right now, I think we put about a practice up a week. So there's constantly churn and bringing up a new practice, but it's so standardized within Athena, we can do that very effectively and very efficiently. And again, all those interfaces are in one system. So we're talking to all the labs across the country. Those are APIs coming into Athena and being routed automatically. We're not reinventing the wheel every time we put a practice up. So standardizing data and technology across disparate systems. So this is tricky. I mean, not everything is going to be in one system. That would be impossible. I mean, we still run into, I think they call it Epic in a couple of places. Some other systems are out there, obviously, that we need to pull data in from. So what we've done in that case is we've actually created our Tableau servers to pull disparate data from other systems. We have to pull possibly EMR, MIPS data, care management data that might be in an EMR if we're actually not using the clinical system on Athena. And we use Tableau Analytics for that. And so what happens is we can ingest all that data and then start marrying it up based on our client's needs on how we start sourcing that back out. So when we do have a different system, we're ingesting that into our Tableau servers. And then we start to look at it a little differently. So when our data is actually coming out of Tableau, we're doing a little right brain, left brain thing here, and we're starting to actually look where problems really are. So we're doing a lot of heat mapping. We're looking at data to help our people actually drill into where those problems are. So very quickly on this, you can actually see diagnosis is a huge problem for this client. And we'll actually start to drill into the data to help those clients manage their business better, and that's what we're doing in the background. So what you're looking at here is actually left to right. The blue represents clean claims going through one of our systems. And then across the bottom, that sedimentary layer, that's actually problem claims that are not going out of Athena and need to be touched and created, or someone has to actually hit them and fix them. So it looks pretty good there, but when we actually start pulling off the clean stuff, you can really see there's quite a bit. So we actually are very intelligent about how we drill down into that. And as we drill deeper and deeper, we'll very quickly identify what those problems are. So biggest ones are usually credentialing, diagnosis, payer not eligible, but we're very quickly able to actually drill down into the physician level, the patient level, and as fast as I just did that, we're drilling down into the fact that this was actually a credentialing issue for a physician that we already knew just started, but that's how fast that I just clicked through that, we can isolate those problems. And when you're doing this over large networks, all those little things matter because it all adds up to a lot of money that's not leaving your system. And obviously, the PE guys are going to start screaming if we're not bringing in the cash. So that's the way that works. The other thing we're noticing is we got to get really good at self-pay personal balance collections. So we're looking at that a lot differently now. What you're actually looking at is one of our clients heat mapped. The equator there is actually $5 and $10 copays. And as you get closer to the North and South Pole, those are actually going to be your larger deductibles. What I don't have here, and what we're doing is, we're actually color coding this based on geography. So we're starting to kind of analyze what patients are more apt to pay than not, based on where they're living. And so our teams will actually go after the green section of this world before they start going after the yellow and red sections. So we're getting really smart about how are we predictive analyzing actually who's going to pay that bill and what should actually just go right to a collection agency or be written off. So a lot of iterations along the line of how you get good at this and don't miss any pennies. And when you do that well, this is what one of our client table spaces look like. We're managing a lot of claims. Athena helps us do that very efficiently. And we actually hit, in one of our clients, a 98.3% clean claim rate. That's not just what goes out. That is the full inventory in that client's table space. So everything leaving their system is basically known that it'll get paid before it leaves. And that's one of the benefits of Athena, is that they have a rules engine that allows us to work on all of these claims before they actually are sent out the door. We're actually hitting this stuff before it leaves, so it really turns the whole accounts receivable process on its head, because we're dealing with those claims because we know they're dead on arrival. We won't let them leave the system, and that's what our people are actually working on with our clients to make sure that that stuff gets paid before it leaves. And then most importantly, so empowering the physician, obviously in the governance as well, but one of the things that we see, we bring a lot of practices on that, Lucy used to be at the front desk, and the surgeon knew pretty much his patients by name, and he wanted to know how much the Smith goes paid for the knee surgery. And so he goes up to Lucy, and Lucy quickly tells him, we got $4,500 for that. And then that physician actually joins a larger organization, a larger network, whether it's a PE firm or a hospital-based network, and all of a sudden all that disappears, right? He or she is just in the dark because Lucy doesn't have access to any system anymore, and all they get is a crappy pile of reports at the end of the month. Well, one of the things we do is we give all of that information back to the physician, back to Lucy in real time, and the way we do that is providing real-time inventory of what's out there and what really matters to the practice. So the immediacy of that information back in their hands provides a lot of comfort that things are being done correctly. So a long way from the CFO who wouldn't share RVUs, now you have access to literally every piece of your data in real time within Athena. So we look at it a couple different ways. One is obviously live, real time. We let our practices dive into their data. And two is actually creating PPRs for every practice that we have on the network. And I'm rushing here because I got 1 minute and 40 seconds left. But what's really important there is that we're benchmarking them not against just themselves, but other like providers in their geographic region. So if we have a cardiology group and they're running performance numbers every month, well, that's great. That's how we know we're doing. What we're actually doing is providing that to sample them among all the cardiology groups in their geographic area and give them some blind reporting as to how they're doing. And that's something that, I'm not trying to plug Athena, but that's an onboard benefit of Athena. And then we also give them our high-level analytics, 40,000 feet to a grain of sand, seconds where we're diving in with Tableau. And then a lot of interaction with our clients, a lot of push reporting, things of showing them their productivity every 2 weeks, not just every month, and not just a pack of reports that shows up at 3 months. We want as much stuff live and in real time back to our practices so we can actually create and solve problems before they become a 4-month issue. So a lot of push reporting, a lot of easy to read, how are you doing? This just charges, RVUs, payments as the 15th day of every month, and that automatically goes out so they kind of get an idea, almost like the stock market, of how they're gonna end up doing that month. A lot of graphic reporting, physician-based. We're drilling down to things like P&L by CPT code. So we're actually able to go in and tell a practice when they're winning and losing, and we do it by CPT. And not just by CPT, we can actually do it by payer and by site. So when our groups are actually going to renegotiate, in this particular instance, they're losing on the 99283 in this emergency room, and every time they see a patient, or in this case, they lost $29,000 that month, because their contracts are actually paying them less than they're paying out, than they're getting in for those codes. So a lot of kind of granular things that make a network run so that the little things are taken care of, the big thing will take care of itself. And I'm out of time, but we also are doing things like network optimization, showing our clients, okay, where are their patients actually going? Are they staying in your catchment area? Are they leaving your network? And how effective are you at keeping them in? And when you do that all well, I'm going to show you this real quick. It's just a graph of what you're looking at is charges on the top graph there, day-to-day going out. So what you're going from left to right is the gray area is actually charges. The bottom graph is actually payments against those charges. And what you're looking at, that steep slope there, that taupey color, I don't know what comes out on there, but that's actually the accounts receivable for this client. So that's how fast, if it's run efficiently, and you're providing data to your physicians and giving them real-time interaction on where to get better, you can actually do that. And that's what our clients want to see, is that we're running clean and maintaining a lot of efficiency. And with that, I'm out of time. One more boat picture for you. That's it. Any questions?
So you really seem to be mostly focused on fee-for-service. Have you been able to bridge into the more risk-based or value-based types of?
Great question. We're starting to see that. So we're just getting into California, where we're seeing more of that now. So it's coming, and we're doing that in conjunction with Athena to actually help manage that. But we intend to be able to support it. We're doing a lot of care management, things like that, managing those types of activities. But at risk, fully at risk, not so much yet. Good? Thank you.